All right. I'm pretty pissed off. Everyone within the NASCAR gaming community, and especially in IndyCar, that we're waiting for the new IndyCar game to come out this year. We have every right to be angry, and I'm not the only one, and you're about to find out why. So, let's just go on ahead and get into it. So, there was a fourth quarter investor call not too long ago from Motorsports Games where they're talking about the future, essentially, of motorsports games, which is already in the toilet, considering the fact that they've released a terrible NASCAR game, a game that is worse than NASCAR Heat Evolution and NASCAR 2011 combined. Um, and they expected us to pour more money into it. They gave us a NASCAR game called NASCAR Rivals, which is basically just NASCAR Heat 5, just with the next gen cars, which is actually more fun than NASCAR Ignition, which is sad for me to say, but that's the truth, and that's forever going to be the truth, and I don't care what anybody else tells me. The Rivals version of NASCAR, the NASCAR Rivals game is 10 times better than NASCAR 21 Ignition. And it's all because Motorsports Games has no idea what they're doing, and within this investor call, let me just tell you this right now, because I'll play the clips and everything like that, but it just shows just how petty, I guess you could say, these developers are. And it makes me so pissed off that we have these kinds of developers who make promises but can't actually live up to them. I'm going to play some clips and then I'll give my response after some of them. So let's start with the first one.
We recently attracted expert advisors in the gaming space to help consult on our games being developed, which we believe will further enhance our ability to meet our and our fans' expectations for these games.
Our expectations for NASCAR games and IndyCar games that are made by you is for them to function and to not be absolute shit on release. I don't understand like the logic behind any of this because it clearly shows that your guys' expectations are not the same expectations as ours. You guys want to produce great NASCAR. You guys want to produce great games for these franchises like NASCAR and IndyCar, but the problem is that you've only released two NASCAR games. One of them is a literal carbon copy of the Heat franchise that we were stuck playing for like 5 years, and then the other was supposed to be a completely different version compared to the Heat games, which crashed and burned before it even released. It was a dumpster fire before it even came out, and the problem showed when you gave the game early to others. You guys don't care about how you want to make these games. You guys don't have that courage or whatever the hell to make a good game. And me and many others have said that you guys just don't care. And the IndyCar game is supposed to be coming out this year. You guys clearly still don't care because there still isn't any news within the IndyCar 2023 game that you guys have said.
Of course, raising the quality bar will require further time and resources being invested into these fantastic franchises, which we believe will translate into delays in our product release schedule.
You guys should have delayed NASCAR 21 Ignition at least for 2 months. I would not have given a shit if it came out in November. I would not have cared. NASCAR 21 Ignition should have been delayed. You guys should have been able to go in before you release the game. You guys should have play tested the game to make sure the NASCAR 21 Ignition was good. So why would we believe you that you want these games to be good and that you think that you should delay them when you didn't even do that at first and you release a shit game? Why do we think that when IndyCar comes out, it's going to be the exact same thing? Why do we think that with the 2023 NASCAR game, whenever that comes out, you guys never took your time with it and it's just going to be NASCAR 21 Ignition 2.0 essentially? It's because you guys don't care. You don't take your time. You put effort into presentation, but not gameplay. Your presentation is good, your gameplay is ass.
However, when we will ultimately release these games, we believe they will be worth the wait. This year, we plan to bring 2023 season updates to our NASCAR game for all major platforms such as PlayStation, Xbox, PC, Nintendo Switch, and mobile, allowing our fans to enjoy the latest 2023 season excitement. For our IndyCar game, we continue to make strides in our development efforts, but we do not believe we will be in a satisfactory position to release it to the community this year.
You fucking idiots!
You done fucked it up!
You guys announced that you would be making a 2023 IndyCar game like 2 years ago. And now you don't even want to release it to the fucking public anymore. Oh my god. Dude, this is a joke. This is honestly a fucking joke. I can't believe these are the developers that 704 Games handed the NASCAR exclusivity rights to. Why? Why did they hand it over to them? Why did they do that? Why? Why did IndyCar hand the rights to fucking Motorsports Games? This is the fucking problem, dude. See, this is the reason. This is the thing. When you make promises about a certain product, you have to live up to it. And Motorsports Games does little to no effort in actually living up to promises that we thought they could have, which is making NASCAR and IndyCar games only for them to be like, we're not even going to release the IndyCar game, but all of our attention is going to be focused on the new NASCAR game. Because we don't care about IndyCar anymore, and we thought, IndyCar should be delayed until 2024, and we'll just rebrand it to IndyCar 2023 and just have or rebrand it to IndyCar 2024 and it's 2023 cars in the year 2024. Where some drivers and maybe even some schemes are outdated because of that, because we're Motorsports Games, and that's what we do. Why? Why even make the promise that you're going to do it and then not make it at all? Why even bother? At that point, you should have just been like, should we do IndyCar? Do we think we can do IndyCar? It's not hard. This is the thing you can do about IndyCar. IndyCar and F1 are like the same thing in a way. And here's what you could have done. You could quite literally take the Formula 1 driving model and put that into IndyCar, but change it up a little bit. Laser scan the tracks and everything. Put the cars on there and, take that Formula 1, driving ability and just tune it to the IndyCar style, because obviously they're different, but they race in the same cars essentially. IndyCar's just American Formula 1. Why not just do that? Why are we in this fucking position to begin with? I don't know. This is Motorsports Games we're talking about. I'm losing my mind just talking about this because this is fucking stupid.
And we want to make sure that our IndyCar game is on par with other major racing games out there, with enough features to keep IndyCar and other fans excited.
Basically, what they're saying is, yeah, we want to give you IndyCar, but we're going to, delay it and keep delaying it until we're finally pushed to release it, and then release a dogshit version of IndyCar because we can't make an IndyCar game to save our own skin. Jesus Christ, dude.
As a head of Motorsport Games, I've been honored to lead this company from its inception, nurturing the idea, setting the vision, guiding it through a successful IPO, providing the necessary resources to make key technology and team acquisitions grow and scale.
The only success that you have had with Motorsports Games is R Factor 2. Anything else past that point has been dog shit, and there's been broken promises and everything. You guys quite literally were big with R Factor 2. You guys had a lot of promise with R Factor 2, and knowing that you were going to make NASCAR and IndyCar, there was a lot of potential to maybe have R Factor 2's physics system, when in actuality, IndyCar is probably not even going to get that. Actually, as a matter of fact, NASCAR didn't even get that. So why in the blue hell would IndyCar get it if NASCAR didn't get it? This whole thing doesn't make sense. You don't have success. You haven't driven Motorsports Games to success. You've driven Motorsports Games into the ground because of your shitty fucking games that you've made. And I'm sorry for the language throughout this video, but this is what pisses me off. You say that you've driven your company to big heights and everything, but you haven't done jack shit since R Factor 2 came out. Ever since then, it's been terrible game on top of terrible game on top of terrible game, to where nobody even believes in you, your stock is going down, and you guys have officially labeled yourself as the one laziest and two worst company next to EA. And You never thought that a certain gaming company would be next to EA. Motorsports Games is that company, by the way.
Today, Motorsport Games is a multi-franchise company boasting a diverse portfolio of official racing games in development for some of the world's most renowned brands in racing, and a foundation built on a cutting-edge technology for the masses.
And a shitload of broken promises.
Now, as far as NASCAR is concerned for this year, what we mentioned is that we'll look to bring the 2023 season to pretty much all of the platforms that our products are currently available at. As far as release date for that, we have a lot of historical data that shows us that sometime towards the playoffs part of the season is a good time for us to have our content ready and to bring it to the community. But when we're ready to announce that, we will definitely publicize and showcase where and on which platforms it will be released when.
See, the problem with that whole statement is they clearly are pushing this back to wait till the playoff season, which is quite literally when every other NASCAR game has been released for like the past 6 years in a way. But the one thing that stands out to me is that they want to release NASCAR 23 around the time of the playoffs when there's only 10 races left. There's not multiple races left or anything like that. So basically, by the time February comes around in 2024, the game is already going to be outdated and you've already played with those cars. You wonder why NASCAR 15 worked when it was released in May of 2015? It's mainly due to the fact that it was released during the season and it wasn't released towards the playoffs or anything like that. And the reason why other games were released around August back in the day is because they weren't released around the time of the chase or before the final 10 races of the season. You actually got to play with the new cars as the season was going on with some more races left. They just want to stick to the whole September release date thing and basically just drive NASCAR 23 into the dirt. But this whole kerfuffle is mind-boggling to me because this is the one thing that they never mentioned in this earnings call. The one thing they never mentioned was the NASCAR Heat 5 2022 update, which, by the way, it's more than likely that shit ain't coming out because now we're in March of 2023, almost April of 2023. I'm pretty sure the fucking 2022 update was going to come out around the time the NASCAR 21 Ignition 2022 update came about, but the problem is that it never actually happened. So, when you actually think about it, when they say they want to release NASCAR 2023 in September, they're probably not actually going to release it in September. They're probably going to release it around October or November because they've had so many broken promises. And again, we're not getting an IndyCar game from the sounds of it, which is a huge slap in the face to every IndyCar fan or non-IndyCar fan, but wanted something new to play with other than playing the IndyCars on iRacing or whatever. Wanted to play a version of IndyCar 2023 and make content on that. I was looking forward to it, and then they broke that promise. They broke the promise with the fucking 2022 update for NASCAR Heat 5. They broke the promise for the IndyCar 2023 game. They've essentially broken the promise for, the Heat 5 DLC. I'm pretty sure I already mentioned that, but they broke that promise. They have had so much shit that they promised that they've broken. They promised to fix NASCAR 21 Ignition. They didn't do that. It's in a terrible state still today. They promised to fix Rivals. That's the only game that they've ever actually fixed. And people might want to say that I'm nitpicking, but at the same time, I don't care at this rate. Motorsports Games is a goddamn joke. They are more of a joke than Eutechnics was. And Eutechnics was the long-running meme of the NASCAR gaming community. And guess what? Motorsports Games is worse than Eutechnics. I would have much rather I'll be honest with you, I would much rather play NASCAR 2011 from Eutechnics than ever get my hands on NASCAR 21 Ignition ever. If there was a time machine that I could go back, I never thought I would say this, but if I could go back 13 years ago, or 12 years ago, and play NASCAR 2011, god damn it, I would. I would so play NASCAR 2011, I would go back and play that game. I have more fun on that game than I do in NASCAR 2021 Ignition. But the problem with all of this is that Motorsports Games still doesn't see that they're the problem. They don't see it. They don't see that they've broken promises. Their stock is shit at this point. NASCAR console gaming, as a matter of fact, is essentially dead thanks to Motorsports Games. IndyCar, before it even got off the fucking ground, is dead thanks to Motorsports Games. After 10 years, IndyCar fans were about to get a new IndyCar game, and then they've been shot down immediately. Probably around this time when they were going to announce it at the fourth quarter earnings meeting that they had. They were probably going to announce it before then or after the fact, but no. There's not going to be an IndyCar game coming out. There is no NASCAR Heat 5 2022 DLC. The online service for NASCAR Heat 5 is dead. Motorsports Games killed it. Because for some reason, 704 Games gave that to Motorsports Games too. Instead of just keeping it. I don't know why they did that. They should have just kept they should have just kept Heat 5. Why do they give the rights to Motorsports Games? I would much rather have 704 than Motorsports Games back. I would much rather have today's EA make a NASCAR game. And they did shit with F1 22. I'd much rather have them than this. Whatever the fuck this was. This whole, the past, year and a half with Motorsports Games has been nothing full of broken promises, unfulfilled requests, unfulfilled promises, and lies. Straight up lies. They've lied to me, they've lied to you, they've lied to everyone, both in NASCAR and IndyCar. iRacing had to get rid of the NTT IndyCar Series logo on the iRacing IndyCars because they have the right to Motorsports Games. Because they don't have it with Monster Games and iRacing, which was a shit decision on their part. This is what NASCAR and IndyCar should do. They should just somehow, in some way, get out of the deal. The deal that they have with Motorsports Games, get out of it. Both IndyCar and NASCAR. Get out of the deal. Because this is a joke. It's a slap. It's not even just a slap in the face to NASCAR console gaming fans or NASCAR fans in general. It's a slap in the face to NASCAR. It's also a slap in the face to IndyCar fans and gamers. It's a slap in the face to IndyCar. They were promised this, and they're never going to get it. IndyCar's never going to get their IndyCar game. NASCAR 23 is probably going to be dog shit. That might be pushed back for all we know. NASCAR is dead because of Motorsports Games, and the only person to blame isn't us, which is what a lot of people say is the fault of. It's not our fault that Motorsports Games can't make a good game. It's not our fault that Motorsports Games can't live up to certain promises. It's not our fault. It's their fault. It's their fault for getting the reaction that they got within NASCAR 21 Edition. It's their fault for the reason why we never got the Heat 5 DLC. It's their fault for the reason we complained about 21 Edition and all the updates they brought to it. It's their fault that we are complaining and talking about the Heat 5 2022 DLC not coming out. It's their fault that we're complaining that IndyCar 2023 is never going to happen. It's their fault that NASCAR console gaming and IndyCar console gaming is dead because of them. There's no one to point the finger at other than them. It's not, the finger's not being pointed at us, the communities of both NASCAR and IndyCar. Motorsports Games does not give a fuck about us. They say they do, they fucking don't. They don't have passion. We do. Motorsports Games is a joke. They are at fault for everything. It's not our fault, it's their fault. And I'm sick and tired of when people say it's us, the community's fault, instead of the developers that made the fucking game in the first place. They made shit games. They released them in a shit state. They had a good presentation, they had shit gameplay. They lied to us, and they don't fulfill promises. It's their fault, not ours.